And Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Although it is a regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, it is hardly a regular day. So I would like to open our meeting today with a moment of silence for 3 people who have been murdered in the last week. 2 young people committed to teaching and service, Monica Kwan and Keith Lawrence, and Riverside veteran police officer Michael Crane, who leaves a wife and 2 children. Please keep also the Los Angeles police officer in your thoughts and the Riverside police officer as he recovers from his severe injuries. Just a moment. Thank you very much. We will begin, as we always do, with the comments of the commissioners. Are there any comments from the commissioners at this time?
Thank you, Madam President. Last night, President Orden, myself, and Richard T. Fank, among others, were at the reception Operation South Bureau for Chief Green, and it was really a remarkable showing of the community and the officers present. It was a great day. Chief Green was very inspirational in his speech and what he thought and what his goals and hopes were and experiences. But one of the things that I noticed when he was talking was, as inspirational as Chief Green's comments were, his actions were even more so. He had his 9 officers in command staff behind him, and 3 of those officers were African American, 2 were female, and it was, as I looked, it dawned on me that this is exactly what this department is. It is a reflection of its community, the diversity that was behind him, and what all those folks stand for. And so I think that, once again, I think Chief Green's words were, we're not done yet, and we are far from done. But it's great to see that, and like I said, his actions speak volumes and are reflective of the actions of pretty much everyone I've seen in this department since I
must share that I felt much the same way. I met for the first time some of the gang interventionists, people from Ceasefire, Peace Over Violence. Of course, we always see our community advisory boards, and there were many people from the community advisory boards, representatives from some of the elected officials, Urban League, the Walks Gang Task Force, people from the county, too, people from probation, people from Department of Children and Family Services, and it was a time to share, and even had a lovely meal.
That's correct.
I'd like to have a report from the Chief of Police, please.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
And as you, my heart goes out to the families of Monica Kwan, Keith Lawrence, and Michael Crane. You know, these are extremely trying times for law enforcement, and I cannot imagine the pain that these families are feeling. I also thank you for remembering the Riverside officer that was so severely injured. I had an opportunity to visit our LAPD officers who were the victims of Dorner's assault, and one of whom narrowly escaped death. I also visited. I also want to remember the 2 innocent victims of mistaken identity in Torrance. I visited both of them. I was extremely impressed by their graciousness, their compassion for the officers involved, and the way that they handled the incident. I wish them a speedy recovery. You know, the department will work as best as it can to make them whole. Update on the Dorner investigation. You know, as the investigation begins to move into its second week, you know, we are still focusing on the possibility of his presence up on in the mountain in Big Bear, but also around the 50 families of LAPD officers who are being protected. You know, if Dorner still lives, we believe that these are all very, very viable targets, and we will continue to protect them as best as we are able to do. And my assurance to my employees and to the public is that we are the best in the business at this, and we will protect these families. One of the other things that has been a topic of conversation that I know that the Commission will address further in this meeting, as you well know, I have announced that we are going to review the Dorner complaint that is contained within his manifesto. We'll look at the old allegations, and we'll look at whatever new allegations are contained in that. That review is underway. Jerry Chairliff, my Special Assistant for Constitutional Policing, is doing that review personally. It is his intent and my direction that he work with the Commission and the Inspector General during that review, and that the results that he reports the results to the Commission publicly. There's much discussion in the media about whether this review should be done internally or not. I will remind everybody that the department has the ability to recall witnesses, to redo interviews if that is necessary, and outside entities do not. I also would remind the public that the members of this Commission are maybe, I won't say maybe, are individuals that are the best suited in the country to review this. I have one of the most noted civil rights leaders in the nation, in John Mack. I have 4 other commissioners who are all attorneys at the national level, and who have specialized in not only civil rights but in police management. And I think that there is no better body possible to review this than this Commission. I have faith not only in Jerry to do the investigation and review completely, but I also know that this Commission will hold the department to task if that is necessary. And then I'll really briefly talk about crime, because that's what I do in the Commission regularly. So we're into the second month of the year. Crime picture looks good. We are down in every single category of violent and property crime. Total reduction in the aggregate is a little over 11%. Of particular note, we are down 37% in homicides as compared to last year. And as you all know, last year we were under 300, which puts it as the lowest homicide rate in over 40 years. Assaults against police officers outside of the Dorner incident are down, and officer-involved shootings are down also. Gang-related crime throughout Los Angeles is down for the 6th straight year, and we're very proud of that. Personnel strength of the department, this is also my usual report, 9,998 police officers on payroll, 280 reserves, 20 level 2s, 129 level 3 reserves, over 1,000 volunteers. We still have 484 civilian vacancies and 2,863 civilian employees assigned. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. I do think we'll respond very briefly to the issue of the Commission. Many of you know that more than 20 years ago I did sit on the Christopher Commission as the sole woman on that commission, which was ethnically and racially very balanced. And in 100 days, we put together the report that many still feel is part of the blueprint that made this department what it is today, with the assistance of the consent decree. Although I spent most of my time on Chapter 4, which was the issue of race and ethnicity and gender in the unlawful force episodes, probably one of the most serious and most agreed upon recommendations were that the department should have a police commission that was adequately staffed, that there should be an inspector general, that was adequately staffed and that could use that independence. That is an important thing for this department, for any department, to be able to have that type of oversight. This department has shown that it can investigate itself with the MacArthur report that the department did some years ago. And it was an important report and one which was much relied upon over a period of time. So I look forward to the report that will be coming from Jerry Chaliff. I know the Inspector General will be kept advised during that period of time, and I look forward to seeing the report and making our analysis at that time of what needs to be done, if anything, from that period on.
I certainly concur, and just add that, first of all, for those who may not be aware, this commission is, we're not salaried employees of the Los Angeles Police Department or the City of Los Angeles. We're volunteers appointed by the mayor, ratified by the city council, and I don't think any of us are looking for jobs. And certainly we're not running for any political office. I would like to think that certainly we've demonstrated since I've been on this commission, now on my 8th year, level of independence. And while we do work in close partnership with the chief and the department, we don't always agree, and we do look objectively and independently. And certainly we have a very capable Inspector General in Alex Bustamante, who I certainly think it's important that he closely monitor and be very much involved in this process. But also, beyond that, we have made major progress in establishing a dramatically improved relationship between the Los Angeles Police Department and the African American community and communities of color. I recall the bad old days when this was not the case, and certainly whenever allegations of racism and discrimination are alleged, it is very important that we look very closely and very carefully, and I certainly fully support the chief in his decision to review, even though obviously there was a very comprehensive investigation and ultimately adjudication previously. But it's good to have a fresh look, a fresh set of eyes to make sure that to determine whether or not there was any validity to any of these allegations, and to make sure that the process was conducted in a fair and an objective manner, because it is absolutely critical, in my opinion, as we move forward for this department to continue on the path that we're on now, where we've seen dramatic change for the better in the relationship with the various diverse communities, and we certainly don't want, we want to make sure that in no way do we go backwards in that relationship, and we want to make sure that there is continued mutual respect and mutual trust between this department and members of the African American community, and that people have confidence that while yes, when you have human beings, and yes, when there will be occasional individual incidents, but as an institution, today's LAPD is a very different institution than it was 10, 15 years ago, and we want to make sure that we stay on that path. And certainly I too will look forward to the results of this review and the ultimate report that's going to be submitted to this commission for our consideration and our independent decision.
Yes.
If I may make a brief comment, Madam President, I appreciate the Chief's desire for transparency on this issue, but I just would like to note that, there is some common sense involved here, and I think the actions of this criminal over the past 10 days, I think, indicates that this department was correct in its assessment that this person should be terminated. I don't think that can be denied. And my only concern is that when you do this evaluation, we look to see how this person, got in here, and to make sure that this doesn't happen, because the public trust is so important. We have to bat 1,000 in terms of who we let wear the uniform and carry a badge. And I hope that in your review of this process that there is some review of that as well. But as I said, and I don't think I'm prejudging this matter, I think the last 10 days amply demonstrate that this person was unfit to be a Los Angeles police officer.
And we will now go to the report of the Executive Director.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. The only item I have is tentatively next week there will be no Commission meeting. That is Tuesday, February 19th. No Commission meeting due to the Command Staff Training Day. However, current events might alter that. So, but at this point, there is no planned Commission meeting for next Tuesday. That concludes my report.
We can set it, if necessary, as late as the Friday before the meeting. Is that right?
That's correct, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you. Report of the Inspector General.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. My office will monitor the matter regarding the review of the complaint process and work with the department in ensuring that it's actually done well. I also want to give the Commissioners a brief update on something that the IG's office is working on currently. I think I briefed the Commissioners on it a couple weeks ago, but I just want to give a current update on where we're at. As the Commissioners are well aware, we have a robust review process for categorical uses of force. My office is now looking at the non-categorical uses of force, which make up the bulk of use of force cases for the department.
And just for some of the public, if you could explain what the difference is between the categorical force and the non-categorical force cases.
Sure, Commissioner. The categorical forces would be the more serious uses of forces that involve officer-involved shootings, a law enforcement related injury that causes hospitalization, and matters like that. The non-categorical uses of force are going to be all the force that is applied that doesn't rise to that level, that is underneath that. And when I say it constitutes the bulk of the use of force involved by the department, that would be wrist locks, some of the other submission type related activity that the department might be employing out in the field. We are going to be reviewing top to bottom that entire process. We're going to be looking at how the process works. We're going to be looking at the substance of those investigations. I've actually asked all sections of my office to contribute to this report, so it'll be one of the few times that every section in my office is working jointly on a particular matter to do an examination on it. I believe that the report, which we've been working on for several months, will be available for the Commission in a month, and it'll be made publicly available for discussion with all the Commissioners and myself. Subject to any questions, I have nothing else.
Is there any public comment?
We have one for the Inspector General report. We have Mr. Tut Hayes.
Thank you. I'd like to apprise the Inspector General of a situation that's really not actually a non-categorical use of force. It's torture. The LAPD has found methods in which they can torture inmates in their jail. My being a principal person subjected to this torture, I've been deprived of food each time I've been arrested and placed in the various jails. When I don't eat, I faint, I pass out. I was held at the 77th Street station. And the doctor explained to them because of my condition, they should either feed me properly or OR me and release me. They indicated to the doctor, we're not going to do either one of those things. We don't have the ability to give him blended, pureed, or liquefied food. So he'll just have to not eat. So not only did they do that, they took me out of the general population where there are telephones in the cell for the 50 or so inmates who are housed there, and put me in an isolation cell. There I could not beg, plead, or steal food. And I was held incommunicado because there is no telephone in the isolation cell. So I make complaints about this many, many times over. There's never any response, never any contact. No one ever says anything. No one ever does anything. But this is an attempt to murder me, and I know that. I am the supreme whistleblower from the public, and I think you're all acquainted with that. And this is an attempt to cause me to die and say it was not a categorical use of force.
Thank you. And of course, if you wish to file a formal complaint as well, it will be taken by the Inspector General.
Sir, actually, if you'll wait till after the meeting, I'll meet with you personally and we can discuss further.
Item number 5 is for information. It's the filed items on noise variance permits. We have 5 noise variance permits for the period ending February 8th, 2013. More information is contained in the full agenda. And we also have special event permits on file as submitted for the period February 8th. We have a comment card on that one.
Yes, Madam President, we have Mr. Christopher Sutton.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Sutton. I'm an attorney for the Westin Bonaventure Hotel. We are in disputes with the LA Metropolitan Transit Authority regarding the development of the regional connector and the use of the street adjacent to the hotel for noisy and disruptive activities. We are trying to find out what is pending before the Commission regarding noise variances. The website simply restates the agenda items. There's no listing of the location of these applications. We have no way to find out what applications are pending. The process does not notify adjoining businesses whether or not disruptive noise will be used next to their businesses. South Flower Street has the Bonaventure Hotel, the California Club, the Pegasus, and the Standard Hotel. It is a residential area. And in the past, the Commission staff has been granting variances for noisy activity on South Flower Street at the behest of the MTA, and we are in litigation with the MTA. Their environmental impact statement simply said they would comply with city laws, yet they are seeking repeated variances on Flower Street. And over time, in general, variances on noise that have been granted by the Commission staff are increasingly long in duration and increasingly high in decibel levels and are disregarding the residential areas adjacent to these streets. We believe there needs to be a fundamental change in the policies. We have attempted to lodge with the Commission staff a deposit so we could have a regular update on what applications have come in that affect the Bonaventure. They said there's no procedure for accepting a deposit. We would offer you $500, $1,000. You can't accept it so that we could receive notices. The staff report dealing with these simply is a replication of the agenda, and there's no address where these come in. So we don't know whether these involve Flower Street or not. We object to the MTA's submission, what we believe are false information over a lengthy period of time regarding Flower Street. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And the Executive Director, have a comment, please?
Absolutely. It's the first time I've heard from Mr. Sutton. He made a public records request. We provided information. We'll be happy to speak to him after the meeting and provide him the information he's seeking. The request has never come forward to my office up until this time.
Thank you. Are there any presentations today?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Consent agenda items, A through D. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move we approve consent agenda items A through D.
Second.
On today's regular agenda, I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. On the regular agenda items, we have two items only for brief comment. A and B. Entertain a motion on the remainder.
Madam President, I move approval of agenda items 8, C, D, E, F, G, and H.
Second.
And all of those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. The first one is the Inspector General's report dated February 4th, 2013, relative to the central property section inspection is set forth. Inspector General, if you would just briefly mention what we did there and the results, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Madam President. As the Commission is well aware, one of the new items that the IG's office has been doing is performing inspections. This is the second of those inspections. An inspection is generally an impromptu or short notice analysis of a high-risk area within the department. In the case that we will be talking about today, my staff gave the department a 1 day's notice and then showed up at a property room and examined weapons. We had conducted specifically an inspection of the central properties property room. And when we arrived there, we were looking at their data system to determine how many weapons they had at the site. Listed 4,927 handguns and 2,005 long guns. From that list, we randomly made a selection of the various handguns and long guns for testing to determine if they were actually physically on hand. We also randomly tested other handguns and long guns from the property room to verify they were on the shelves and that those guns that were on the shelves were properly entered into the data system. Based upon our review, we verified that all the items tested were in fact properly booked. Also wanted to thank the department for their assistance. Property division staff on such short notice were very amenable to my staff coming in and looking at absolutely everything and provided all the necessary documents so that we could do a proper review.
This is really outstanding. General Bustamante, this is really outstanding work by your office, and more importantly, outstanding work by our people. This is with 100% compliance. And I think that merits notice.
Yes.
I was going to also commend Commander Krober and your team. Yeah.
Actually, it's Terry Carter and her people, and I want to point out the crime statistics that were cited by the Chief of Police. They put the uniformed force of the LAPD in the forefront, but those conditions are set by the civilians, which we have so many vacancies. We have the largest field force now in the LAPD's history, and yet her staff, the ones that were able to register those results on this audit, are at their most austere. And so that's a tribute to her leadership and the folks, not only that I have from property and jail, but a much greater constellation of civilian employees throughout the department that are stars and set those conditions again for the success in the field. So it's really a tribute to those civilians.
Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
I move approval of regular agenda item 8A.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. And Department's Report B, relative to the Ethics Enforcement Quarterly Report. This is one in which we received the Department's report and direct the Office of the Inspector General to submit his analysis. But before we move to a motion on that, I'd like you, if you would, Inspector General, to explain just in the briefest way what this Ethics Enforcement Quarterly Report reflects.
Commissioner, every quarter the department does this assessment, and they are looking to identify issues within the department, either officers not abiding by certain policy or, in the more extreme cases, officers actually performing misconduct. So the department proactively looks and does audits and also stings trying to identify problem officers in the department so that they can properly discipline or train them as necessary. Once this report's done, it is referred to us from the commission, and we do an analysis, a review of it, to ensure that all of their investigations and their findings are actually supported, and that the quality of overall investigations for these matters are done in accordance with the Commission's desire, considering that these are potential high-risk areas and involve officers that may be on occasions doing something that the Department is trying to identify and then ferret out.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam President, we have one comment card on this item.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're
Go
going to
ahead.
call the
Yes.
person now.
Mr. Ted Hayes?
I have to take the long way around. Anyway, Mr. Inspector General, when a police station has a 3-foot sign on the wall as you go in at the desk saying out of service, and you don't know how to receive that initially. I asked them when I went to the desk, is that a joke? Yes, it is. Well, some people may not believe the police department is not really actually out of service, because they come from countries where the police department doesn't serve them very well to begin with. So I get a letter back after that complaint saying, it was really just an administrative snafu. The next thing I complained about was the fact that every aspect of your rights as far as the Constitution is concerned, to not be held incommunicado, have a right to make phone calls, 3 of them, have a right to contact your lawyer on a lawyer-client confidentiality. All those things are violated. That's at your headquarters. That's at the Metropolitan Detention Center. So I get a letter back relative to that stating, it was just an administrative policy problem. We didn't really violate the law. So when the public sneers about the chief standing saying we want to be open and transparent, you can understand why. Because for all those years the Metropolitan Detention Center had been there, they had never had that sign posted as Penal Code Section 851.5 requires. But it was never a violation. So what open transparency is there? There is no rule, no law, no regulation, no requirement that this department stands up to and upholds. That 851.5 is a misdemeanor.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Yes. I move that we, receive the department's report and direct Inspector General to submit this analysis.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And with that, we move to public comment period.
Yes, we have 4 cards. We have Mr. Christopher Sutton, followed by Pete Nichols, Emilio Lakis, and Ann.
My name is Christopher Sutton. I'm an attorney for the Westin Bonaventure Hotel. I want to comment on the general problem of having the police commission and the commission staff rule upon noise variances. And I understand that police officers have to enforce noise issues in the community, but really this is something that should be handled by the Public Works Department or the Planning Department, and it is really outside the expertise of the police commission staff. And so that I would suggest that you recommend to the council to somehow change the policy in which noise variances are handled so that this is not handled by a department that is really involved in law enforcement and not a department that's in handling environmental matters. In terms of the regional connector, when the Blue Line was built in the 1980s and 90s, the MTA, then the LACTC, applied to the city for a change in the noise ordinance that specifically imposed conditions on the digging of the subway coming into the 7th and Flower Station from the south. So that from 12th up to 7th, there was a specific ordinance passed. And I would urge the Commission to urge the City Council in terms of the regional connector, which will extend northward from 7th up to 2nd, go across 2nd to Little Tokyo, that the Council somehow engage itself in a policy discussion about how the neighborhoods along the regional connector are going to be affected by noise. And we should not have a process where there's this ad hoc case-by-case application of noise variances for a large amount of activity, which is really one integrated project. And we would urge the Commission to urge the Mayor and Council to change the noise ordinance to directly address the regional connector in a way that will affect and protect the communities from Little Tokyo to South Flower. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I
Pete
may,
Nichols.
I would urge you to urge the City Council and the Mayor to take the actions that you're so concerned about, sir.
Good morning, Madam President, Chief Beck, and Commissioners. My name is Pete Nicholas. I live in the Rampart Village Neighborhood Council area, 3 or 4 blocks from the old Rampart station. I'm a member of the community group Reclaim Old Rampart that was organized in late 2001 over our concern over the abandonment and condition of the old Rampart police station. When the plans became public for converting that old police station into the new Metro Division headquarters in 2012, at the very first meeting, we as a community objected to the major change in traffic patterns. We also, in view of the policy of community policing, wanted to assure that one of the meeting rooms, assembly rooms, training rooms, or roll call rooms was adjacent to the lobby and service desk, situated as a multi-purpose room, much like at the new Rampart station or at our other new stations. However, we've never been able to get any change in the position for the plans that were already made before they went public. Both of our groups, as well as the Civilian Oversight Committee, have recommended the changes that we've advocated. We want to retain the traffic pattern. We want to have a multi-purpose room that could be used by the community. We want to have some green space there. We have heard from Chief Beck or his designees repeatedly. We've never heard from the Commission, and I'm here to be sure that the Commission is aware of our concerns. We'll have a new mayor. We'll have a new 13th District Council member. We may have new members of the Police Commission this summer. And our community group wants to assure that changes are made.
Thank you very much for the information.
Madam President, if I may add, the Planning Commission, Chief Beck, you respond. Chief Beck, respond.
It's a public comment item, Commissioner, and you can't respond to public comment items. This is not on the agenda, sir.
Go ahead, please.
Good morning. My name is Emilio, and I'm a youth organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition in South LA. And I'm here to say on behalf of the Dignity in Schools Coalition, the Alliance for Educational Justice, and groups all over the country that you can't build peace with a peace. Since the tragic shooting incidents at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut, federal, state, and local officials and police departments have made several proposals to increase law enforcement spending and officers in our schools and in our streets as well. We got word that LAPD is trying to increase police in our schools by several thousand. And we're here to say that we don't feel like this will increase public safety, and we don't need more police in our schools to be added at this time. We need more school counselors, jobs, and youth centers. Metal detectors, increased surveillance, stop and frisks make our schools feel more like prisons sometimes than they do places of education. Increasing police in our schools and in our streets also means putting more guns in our communities, and that doesn't make our youth feel safe either. Our youth organizers have requested a meeting with Chief Beck and Commander Green on this issue, and we'll follow up, and we hope you will follow up to meet with us soon. We're having a press conference tomorrow morning in front of California Senator Barbara Boxer's office at 9 a.m. because she's proposing legislation to have the National Guard come in and help police our schools, which we feel is very problematic. And so we're releasing a statement signed by youth all across the country that we're working in solidarity with, and this is happening at 9 o'clock a.m. tomorrow morning in front of our office on 312 North Spring Street, which is right down the street. We've we've had email contact and phone contact with members of Commander Green's office, and they said that they would meet with us. So we hope that you'll follow up and be able to speak with us on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you for your information.
We have Ann.
Hi there. My name is Anne, anonymous. I am completely anonymous, and to the LAPD, I am not even a statistic, despite my best efforts. 4 years ago, I was hit by a very angry gentleman who was driving a large vehicle. It was a hit and run, and I contacted the LAPD. The clerk or whoever I spoke to on the phone was unwilling to send out anybody to take a report. They advised me not to come down to the station and file a report. They didn't want to do it. They just didn't want to do it. And I understand that it's because I didn't really have a very good description of the person who, of the perpetrator or of the weapon. I can tell you that it was a very large gray vehicle, and that was it. And I can understand that you guys wouldn't want to really actively pursue something like that without, a whole lot of clues to go on. But there have been hit-and-run incidents where people, the victims, actively want to participate in the prosecution, and they have to take things in their own hands. My concern is that the report that you are going to be receiving and filing, not next week, but maybe eventually, will be missing a whole lot of data because of your refusal to take victims seriously and to take reports. I hope that you guys understand, since there are a bunch of lawyers on the commission, that you might be opening yourselves up to lawsuits in the future if people start feeling like they've been ignored in hit and runs. You have to take the victims seriously. Please do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
We have 2 more cards, Madam President. We have Mr. Ted Hayes and Yvonne Michelle Autry.
Code of silence. Everybody out there in the public knows who that is addressed to and what it means. Code of silence is a code of conduct for the LAPD. You don't violate that. And if you do, there will be repercussions. Now, I'm a little startled by the fact that there are posters going up with Mr. Dermer's face on it saying, hope. Same poster, same term used for President Obama. But I'm also startled that everyone I don't talk to, I overhear conversations, they're all rooting for this guy. Because they believe that after Rodney King, after Kelly, the cop can't kick someone in the head. And if another cop exposed that he violates that code of conduct, that code of silence, and he will have repercussions. It is very impressive, of course, on everyone that it's a black man who is doing this, indicating in his manifesto the various reasons he's doing it. So I hear it is going to be opened once again. I can tell you, I had a lawyer who betrayed me. Cops framed me, and he betrayed me. From that point on, I said, I'll never let a lawyer represent me. I don't know what he got paid. I don't know what the payoff was, but he did betray me. The next time I was arrested by the police and framed, I represented myself. They sent the best city attorney they could find, Roger Einboden, and I beat him. But I didn't beat him. The truth, the facts beat him. He and they were lying, and I managed to expose that. So we believe that the code of conduct was violated and there were repercussions, and I don't care what the reopening of the investigation says as far as, oh, we did an excellent job, we went right back in and found out what was happening. They're lying.
I'd just like to say I do agree with this young man. We don't need to be policed The children need attention. They need extended hours for tutorial centers. They don't need to be put under lockdown. And if a black woman was stomped in the groin, I don't find it so outlandish to believe that police officers have been beating, stomping mentally challenged people. You know, I think it's horrible that you've driven this man to this point. Obviously, he was trying to serve his country. He was a Navy SEAL and a police officer. You've done this. You've driven people that seek justice to this point. I'm a community activist, and I'm labeled a terrorist in my own country with no civil rights. And I'm tired of police officers profiling and harassing my family, my friends. If I need a police escort, I will contact you personally. Everywhere I go, LAPD follow me, my friends and my family, simply because I'm active and I'm vocal on behalf of black people, poor people in the street that you seek to eliminate. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a bisexual, transsexual man who had a sex change. I have no felonious record. I'm not a homosexual. I'm not a witch. I'm not an alien. And I object to these profiling and incrimination simply because we represent people that you marginalize. We are not terrorists simply because we exercise our freedom to organize, freedom to speech, and freedom to publish in this country. If you are under martial law, you need to publicize that. This is not a police state. Now you stop profiling me and my family. Whether it's racial, economic, this is America. I'm not a terrorist. We have rights. Recognize us regardless of our political status or economic status. And you wonder why this man is doing this. Look at your history.
That is the final card, Madam President.
Thank you. We will now recess and go into closed session to discuss two public employee performance evaluations along with a single officer-involved shooting. Thank you.
I thought you were
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item numbers 10A, B, and C in accordance with various government codes.
Yep.
I'm Renee, representing for Juventus from Van Nuys. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35, our city, our channel.
Hi, this is Charlie Beck, Chief of the Los Angeles Police Department. Today I would like to present an overview of the Los Angeles Police Department's Reserve Officer Corps. Reserve officers were initially recruited during World War II, when enlistments and the draft depleted the number of qualified police recruits. In 1947, the Los Angeles City Council enacted an ordinance officially establishing the Police Reserve Corps. Since their inception, the members of the Reserve Police Corps have proven themselves time and time again in their exemplary service to the citizens of Los Angeles. Reserve officers are a valuable asset to the department, especially during these challenging economic times. Men and women who join the Reserve Corps are people that want to make a difference in their community. Most reserve officers combine full-time employment with their police service, and some even go on to become full-time police officers, just as I did. The following is an explanation of the 3 levels of reserve officers, the training they receive, and the qualifications they must possess prior to being assigned to a patrol division